Hey, and welcome, and thank you so much for joining our webinar tonight. This is our free webinar about my property circles and how you yourself can create a circle or jump on into a circle that's established. And we're going to give you a breakdown of what that is, what it looks like, what the benefits of that are, and how you can, build your nest egg or your property portfolio by being a part of the journey in a joint venture structure that's all done for you as well. So allow me to introduce myself and also my fellow guest, fellow presenter that's here tonight. My name's Jo Vadillo. For those of you that I can see a lot of familiar names popping in, so it's really good. We've got such a busy webinar tonight. But yes, I run Advocate Property Services. I'm a property buying expert, and I have been running my company now for 9 years, helping people in investors and also owner-occupiers buy all across Australia in both new and established properties as well. I'm also the very proud board member of my property circles, as well as being running Property Women, which is a national platform to help women and educate women across all realms of property. So whether you're looking to renovate or do Airbnb or subdivide, or like as a guest here tonight, understand how you can build your portfolio through unique platforms, we're there to educate you. Now, my fellow presenter is Nicola Mills. Nicola is the founder of My Property Circles. She herself has invested in a number of different circles, and I'm going to get her to share with you what those numbers and names and everything looks like, and how and why it all came about. She is also being featured as one of Australia's top 50 female entrepreneurs list, and has also been in BRW Fast 100, which is an enormous accolade. What a fantastic businesswoman, a very passionate property investor. Nicola, welcome.
Thanks, Jo, and great to see so many people on the webinar tonight. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's good, and it just goes to show that, we can't sort of if people have got more spare time at the moment, they're certainly guaranteed to be home. But it just goes to show that the time we are in at the moment isn't stopping people from looking to the future. People are wanting to be setting goals still, looking at opportunities, and that people want the breath of optimism and future delivered to them as well. So I think it's really great to see so many people educating themselves and using this time to I guess, advance their own skill set moving forward as well. So it's very good. So this information and My Property Circles is going to really speak to you if this is something that you identify with. If you want to invest in property but don't have a large enough deposit, which is a really big stopping point for many people, it takes a long time to accrue that 10 to 20% deposit that's needed to start to embark on building a property portfolio. And you might be someone who wants to build a number of different properties, and so that you've got a really strong portfolio or platform behind you so that you can use that as your financial anchor in life as well. Perhaps you've got a super fund set up and the super fund hasn't been performing too well in shares of late. This could be the perfect platform for you also to embark upon. And the beauty of what we're going to share with you tonight is that we do all the heavy lifting for you. So it's a done for you process that you're involved in, but we bring all the power to the table, all the professionals that you need. You've got your team around you, and we go and do the property buying and the search as well, so that everything's facilitated and you're communicated to all throughout that journey. So to give you a little bit of a breakdown here, I might just ask Nick if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about how does My Property Circles work, because you yourself have got a number of different properties in Property Circles already.
Yeah, so I did this privately a few years back, and I had the same problem, that first point that you talked about. I didn't have a big enough deposit to buy my first property, but I was pretty keen to build a property portfolio and get a number of properties. So I thought, well, how am I going to do that? So I called up a few friends and said, hey, do you want to come in and why don't we share the deposit, start buying properties together? Maybe we can buy one a year or something like that. We'll do it for 10 years and we'll end up with 10 properties at the end. So a number of us jumped on board, and that's what we did. We met with a really great lawyer and accountant at the time, and they put a really strong structure together for us. And the reason they did that was to make sure that my problems didn't become someone else's problems, and my friends' problems didn't become my problems, which can often be what a lot of people are concerned about. If we go and put all our names on a mortgage and then there's a divorce or something happens and the property has to be sold. That doesn't happen with My Property Circles, and we'll talk about that a bit more. So we've pulled our money, started buying the properties, and each year it's got easier and easier for us to buy those properties because the costs have come down. We've built up equity. And the beauty of it's been that if we have had to replace a kitchen or a deck or something like that in one of the properties, we get to share the cost. We had a $10,000 bill come in a couple of years back, but because there's 5 or 6 of us in there, it only cost us $1,600 each. And that bill shock drops dramatically when you're sharing it with others. We did that for about 5 years, and now I've had a lot of people who've come to me saying, can I come into your property group with you? And I was like, I was pretty happy with where we're at. But yeah,
it's working so well. Everyone wants a bit of a slice of the pie, so to speak.
That's right. But I'll tell you, Jo, why that changed for me. If you like, I can kind of talk a bit about why that changed for me and why I decided to kind of share it with others, if you like, and what we're doing. So I've just taken the screen off, Jo, now, and you'll see here little my property circles and those 4 little houses. So we've actually got, in my original property circle, we've got 5 houses in that one. And this first property we bought was when we first shared the deposit. The deposit at the time, I think we needed about 100,000, 120,000. These days, you're probably looking at, probably about $160,000 just to buy. Oh, my writing is not very good tonight. I promise I didn't have any wine before I came on. So your deposits are probably looking at about $160,000. Not a lot of people can do that on their own. But what we did is we all shared in those costs. We all put in a little bit each, and we were able to make and buy our first property. We bought the second property. By the time we got to the third property, we started using the equity that we had in the first 2 to buy the third property. So we put in about 10,000 each that year by the time we got to the third property. So that worked really well for us. And you can see there also that Callie and Georgia put in different amounts than say Felicity and Colin. And that's okay too. When we talk about my property circles and say a big amount, that 160,000 or whatever it might be, you don't have to do it evenly. I'll show you a pie chart. So this is if you all go in together and you share it all evenly. You all get an even piece of the pie here. But if you can only put in $10,000 and one of your friends can put in $40,000, your kind of pie chart looks a bit like this. And that's okay too. I mean, it really depends on people's circumstances and where they're at in life and whatever, wherever they're at. You don't have to put in big amounts, or if you have the ability to do so, you can.
It's just perfect, isn't it? Because some people are in a position where they can come to the table with a larger amount of money, but others, they want to still invest. They've been able to save up a little bit, but that sort of means that they're unable to go forward. So and I haven't really talked about Holly here, and I'll talk about Holly, and kind of this is why my property circle started. So a couple of years ago now, my friend's husband passed away, and he was quite young and left. And she was left with 2 girls under 10, part-time income, 2 dependents. Banks wouldn't lend to her. And I was talking through with her a lot across that time, as you can imagine. And I said, why don't we start a property circle together, and we can help start building some long-term wealth for the girls and for you and all that kind of stuff. And what I haven't talked about here is a few people here, for example, say Felicity, Colin and myself all use self-managed super funds. So we didn't notice the money out of our normal day-to-day bank savings. It came out of the super funds, which we weren't looking to touch anyway. So that worked really well for us. Callie, George and Jenny, they all put in cash. They didn't use super funds, they put in cash. So it's up to the individual what they want to do. Holly came back to me and said, Nicola, I don't have a self-managed super fund. I'm only working part-time. I just don't think I can put the money in. So that's when a group of us got together and we kind of came up with Bricks for Chicks. And what Bricks for Chicks is dollar for dollar match funding. So whatever Holly could come up with, we would match it dollar for dollar. We match up to $10,000. So if you can put down 10,000, we'll put down another 10. That gives you $20,000 to put into a property circle.
to get a piece of this pie up here. And it gets her on the way. She's now on the way to owning property, growing wealth. And I'll go back to that other problem she had. It wasn't just how do I get money for a deposit? It's like, how do I get past the banks? Because they, you have income and equity and, and they won't lend to women who are single income and dependent. Just doesn't happen. But if you go into a property circle with others and there's a whole group of you, they all look at you as one and they say, you may now pass through.
Yeah, sure. We've just had a question pop up just about the Bricks for Chicks funding. Is that other people in the circle that's actually matching their funding, or where is that funding coming from?
Yeah, so there's a Bricks for Chicks fund, and there's a whole lot of people who are super keen to support women. And they may be, and it's women who through, I call it the 4 Ds, death, domestic violence, divorce or disease, or just life has thrown them a curveball, that they just can't get ahead and they can't, whatever it might be. And it doesn't really matter what's happened, it has happened.
Sure.
There's a whole lot of people out there that really want to support those women and really help them get going. And so we're having quite a number of people who are, it's like peer-to-peer lending. Everyone's heard of peer-to-peer lending. There's a whole lot of people that want to give this money to the Bricks for Chicks members, because just about everybody I speak to has a sister or a friend or a mother who's been in that situation.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think, everyone knows someone with that story, has got that journey as well. And so if you want to be a Bricks for Chicks member, how do you even qualify for that? I mean, how do you prove that hardship?
We're not asking people to prove hardship. You just need to be a girl.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Sorry, guys. So, 50% of the population is wiped out there. We may look at something for the boys later, but at this point, I mean, I think we just want to help women and we want to help them get into the property market. And I think for the most part, like I said, there's probably a sister, a mother, a friend who just needs that little extra bit of help. And hey, look, they're putting their own money in too. It's not a charity. They're putting their money in. We're dollar for dollar match funding it. And the key to it is they don't have to pay that money back until the properties are sold. So there's not putting any pressure on them to come up with loan repayments over the course of this. Normally lasts for about 5 years. You go in, you do this for 5 years. You, of course, at the end of the 5 years can extend that again. And that's certainly what I've done in my original property circle. But we just have this little 5-year break here just in case you need to get out or there's reasons you need to do that. My recommendation, of course, is that you keep going, you keep buying more and more properties. So you have properties in that circle. But for the Bricks for Chicks member, there's no pressure. She puts in the original money. She gets the dollar for dollar match funding, and then she doesn't have to worry about it until the properties are sold at the end.
Sure. I've just got a couple of questions, so just bear with me. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions here. Leanne has asked, what if you want out? And the next question, which we can answer as well, is, who will be living in the house? Can I live in the house? So first question is, what if you circumstantially want to get out of the circle? How does that work?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about Kelly and Georgia up here. So across the time in the circle with me, they both at different times lost their jobs and didn't have a lot of income. And so the rest of the people in that circle, in the years that we bought, say, property 3 or we bought property 4, we just put in extra money those years. They didn't have to, they could take a couple of years off if they liked and not put any money in at all. And that's okay. While it's kind of an expectation that you'll put money in every year to buy another property, it's not an obligation. And if you decide not to, that's fine. Well, all that happens is that your pie chart ends up looking like this. Now, what's happened over time is that Kelly in particular, her life circumstances has changed. She's doing really well now. She's getting lots of money. So she's now starting to put a whole lot of money into property circles so she can get a bigger piece of this pie. Now, if you have a situation where someone really needs to get out, you can sell your shares to other people in the circle. They get first right of refusal to buy your shares. Or you can sell your shares to somebody else. And we have the opportunity on My Property Circles on the platform that people can join a circle, they buy your shares and they get in. Because there's some people who are looking for properties, they already have 1 or 2 properties already in it. And they like the idea of joining a circle which already has properties in it. Some people maybe don't want to go into a property circle with their current friends. Maybe they'd like to meet some new friends and they can join a circle. But there's a couple of ways. You can either just stop putting money in if you need to, and that's okay. Or you can sell your shares out to other members, or you can sell them out to someone else. So there is an exit.
So based on your experience now, because you've had these, the properties behind you that are performing really well and people will they're chomping at
no one wants out.
No. Yeah, no one wants out. And when that seat at the table comes up, it will be filled pretty quickly, I imagine. Yeah.
Because sorry, Jo, sorry.
Oh,
because
no, right.
Oh, sorry. We've used offset accounts. We've not, so about 3 out of those 5 properties we've knocked anywhere between 5 years and 10 years off the mortgage. And that's just been clever about offsetting accounts. The property circle itself pays dividends out every year, and we've reinvested those dividends back into the property circle, and it's really knocked those mortgages down. So it's doing really well for us.
Okay. So, sorry, I will answer this question. I know a lady had asked the question about who lives in the property, or can she live in the property, which is a really, really smart question to ask. If you're in a property circle, you can absolutely live in the property. So, Nicola, do you want to just speak to that a little bit about how that might look?
Yeah, so each of your properties, had some people in there who are your tenants and they're paying you rent. One of those people could be you. That could be Kelly, or that could be Holly, a Brits for Chicks member. And we are certainly talking to our Brits for Chicks members about whether they want to be the tenants in some of these property circles. And the reason we're doing that is so that they now feel that when they're paying rent out to a landlord, they are partly that landlord now. And so part of the rent that they normally pay, it's going 100% to someone else. Now a percentage of that 10%, 20% is now going back to them through the property circle. So that's definitely a program that we're going to develop and build more. Yeah. But any one of those, I have a friend who's starting a property circle actually up in Queensland, and she's found a house that she really wants to buy. So she's just gone and asked a whole lot of her friends, hey, do you want to help me buy this house in a circle with a tenant? And I'm going to be a great tenant. I'm going to look after the property. I'm going to pay my rent because I partly own it.
Yeah, and they'd make fantastic tenants. Like what I've noticed, and when marriages do dissolve, they're in areas that as a single income earner, they're unable to re-establish themselves in that area. So it's the upheaval, especially when you've got young children, as you're moving out of the area, you downsize into a property that's probably not suitable for primary school age kids. By being a part owner, you've still got a roof over your head, you've still got the location and the community around you that you're used to, but then you've got that beauty of it. But when you're paying your rent, it's partly yours. You're putting it back into what's ultimately going to be your investment. And then you're going to want to add value to the property. These are the tenants that are going to tend to the yard and plant the plant and repair the walls, and not just hammer nails left, right and center throughout things whenever they want something done. So they would make fantastic tenants. So I think that's such a wonderful solution, because I know a lot of women, when they've been out of the workforce or working in a part-time capacity, because perhaps, by circumstance, they do tend to be hold a stronger percentage as the carer, they're looking after the children or taking a back step on their careers. Their income isn't what it looks or should look like. Their super isn't what it should be at, by the time they've reached their mid-40s. And then when you get to that age, you're still potentially got young kids, and then you're also got the responsibility of aging parents as well. So at that time of life, it can be very difficult to re-establish yourself in a career. So this is a solution for women who are able to then get back onto building their property portfolio. It builds their confidence. It makes them greater parents as well, because it gives them something that they're giving back to their kids. Really just, it really is something that's very, it really does support women in that journey.
I mean, and Holly, who's one of our original Brits for Chicks members, for her, what she's doing is building up some wealth and some equity. So when she comes out in 5 years or 10 years, whatever she's doing, she'll probably then have a deposit for for property to give to her kids, right? Which is an amazing achievement for her. So it's a way of building wealth over the long term and helping out her children.
Yeah, perfect. Now we're getting quite a few questions, so we may go a little bit over, but we'll try not to go too far over. And there's opportunities at the end where you can reach out to us to speak one-on-one as well, to make some time. But what I'll do is I'll answer this next question here. Can I buy anywhere that I would like? And to answer that question, ultimately, yes, you can. If you're established in an area or you want to be investing in a certain location, you can put your hat up to start that circle off by all means. So whilst the circle, and as you can see here on the left side of the screen, the experts and everyone's there for you, and to talk about, I guess, what your investment minimum should look like, Nicola, and what those experts are included in that cost contribution as well. And if you did want to, so what sort of, where would the foundation number be for somebody who wants to be in a circle?
For them personally, or the circle itself?
Yeah, for them personally. So I guess if you've got $100,000 or $50,000 and you want to bring on 3 extra friends to have another share, that as you show with that graph, it doesn't really, you can make that percentage work for you. But if you're, just say you want to buy in Sydney, and it's, obviously having a share of a percentage of a house within, say, a 15-kilometre radius of the city is going to be a larger share of. But
sure. So, look, what we're showing you here tonight is really what we call a startup circle, or a family and friend circle, which is just a startup to get you in, Look, if you want to live in a really nice place in Sydney, we have what we call a mansion circle, and if you have a whole lot of friends who want to come in and put extra money. And look, we can do free consultations with you about all the different circles that you can do. There's lifestyle circles, mansion circles. What we're talking about tonight is a startup circle. It just means you might be willing to put in, what we're trying to do here with the startup circle is that you put your money in, and then really the rent should pay the expenses. It's positively geared, and you shouldn't really worry about it again. It just starts doing its job and starts ticking along, and everything should be fine. But if you want to stretch out a bit more and you want to live by a place that's more expensive, and you want to be the tenant, and you can work that out with your friends, it may mean that you just have to put in extra every year. But as long as you agree on that upfront and you all understand where you're going with it, that should be fine too. One of the key critical things we do with every property circle is we all agree upfront what is the purpose of the property circle, where is it going to buy, what is its mandate, if you like. And we've found we did that with our original property circle, and that stood the test of time, because we know what we're doing, how we're investing. And if we want to go off and do something different, well, we can start a different property circle with a different group of friends.
Yeah. Just with what you're talking about in terms of just that friends and family circle, if we're sort of talking about a $500,000 to $600,000 purchase price, we always look to support people buying properties that are going to be in strong performing locations. So the important thing here is looking at a combination of growth as well as yield. It's also looking at not only just capital cities, but really busy regional hubs as well. So we talk about the Newcastle and Tamworth and areas where there's multitude of employment and there's a lot of population growth as well. The other, I guess, what is really important is I do all the research in terms of what that rental capacity and demand looks like as well, because you want to make sure it's in a location that people want to be renting, that you haven't got this, huge vacancy issue. So that's a really important factor to wager in as well. And as the circle is there to coordinate getting the finance, having your contracts reviewed, the entity set up, obviously working with myself as one of the key partners as a property buyer in my company. We've got our research team, and all of this is actually included. And we see that right through to not only handing the keys over to a property manager and getting tenants on board, but then the bookkeeping and the year-to-year management is also ongoing.
Yeah, and look, our circle manager, My Property Circles, is one of the people who was in my original, the original property. So she knows what she's doing. She deals with strata, property managers. She is amazing. She makes everything happen. So each circle gets a circle manager to look after and make sure that accountant, the lawyer, the mortgage broker, you, Joe, as the property buyer, the property managers, bookkeepers are making that circle run as efficiently and effectively as possible.
Yeah, sure. So another question has popped in. Can you set up a circle to do a flip for profit? So ultimately, Yeah. Yes.
So we call that a renovation circle, or you can call it a flip for profit circle if you like.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, we call it a renovation circle. And again, you just, as long as you all agree up front, that's what the purpose of the circle is. We have a budget for that. And, you know, we worked on those budgets with the property experts, with Joe, with different people. How much would you normally need for project manager and to renovate? You agree up front, you all know what the amounts are, and then you just split the costs.
Yeah,
And again,
sure.
I'm going to go back to these pie charts. You can either split those costs evenly amongst yourselves, or one of you or several of you may put more in and some of you put less in, but you work that out with your group. Because you know, when I first started this property circle, my problem was the deposit. For some people, they might have $160,000, $200,000, and actually they're looking for diversification. They're looking for, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I'd actually like to have 5, 6, 7 properties, and instead of spending $160,000, $200,000 on one property, they can buy 5.
Yeah, yeah.
That reduces your risk quite considerably over, you know, we've had one of our properties, I'm going to go back to these little 5 properties here. We've had one of these properties that wasn't so great, you know, it hasn't done everything that we needed it to do. But the other ones, they have been amazing. Yeah. And so that one in that little 4th property book, because we didn't have a property by Joe. Yeah. And we learned that lesson. It doesn't matter that one isn't, you know, it's only breaking even for us, whatever, because the other one's doing so well. Yeah. If you are someone, say that property, and that's the only one you've got, then you could be in you could be in trouble. It really can hold you back substantially if you've got a property in your portfolio, and this happens to people, especially if they've invested in more of a highly speculative location, or, you know, circumstance mean that it has dropped in value. They were to sell that, they sell it at a loss. It means that they're going to set themselves behind for years sometimes to catch up. So I guess the beauty of this is you're sharing the wins, but, you know, there's also sharing those costs when things happen, because maintenance is an ongoing journey with property as well. And just to remember that property is that 5-year to 10-year journey. It's something that you really want to embrace and make sure you plan for a bit more of a longer hold time. So I guess with that question, just, you know, with regards to doing a flip for profit, if, you know, look at your circle like a business plan that you're putting to someone. You've got some evidence that you've done well in renovating, but you know you need a bit of money behind you as well. And that way you can get people to come to the party. And if they've seen that you've had success in the past, trust me, they're going to be wanting to have a share of that. Yeah. For sure. So yeah, it's just I've got a few questions popping in. So, but I might just steal the screen back if I can. Don't like my pretty pictures? Oh, you tried the pictures are beautiful. So this might be really something, you know, an exciting added bonus for people who are watching the webinar, and also for people on Facebook as well, because I do know we've got an audience sitting live on Facebook watching us. The special offer that My Property Circles has put forward to attendees, if you were to, and there's some terms and conditions which you can run through as well, but it's $500 towards your first circle. And you know, it's if it's just you, that's $500. It's you and 4 of your friends, that's $2,500, which is a big percentage really to get you started. And it's a really strong offer as well. If you're coming with 10 friends, you've got $5,000. There you go. Right. So I just want to share with you some of the partners that we've worked with as well. We are working with. These have come to us through strong recommendations. I've either worked with them myself in a professional capacity. They're highly regarded. Some of the people that have been in circles with, you know, already, they've said, look, these people are fantastic to work with. So we've got, you know, Law Lab that are going to be doing the conveyancing. My own business, as I mentioned, Advocate Property Services. We've got your Bonza that looks after property management. So they'll be the people that we liaise to ensure that you've got a really strong tenant. Zippy Financial to do your finance. So all tried and tested. And that's the beauty, I guess, that you don't want to be the one that's doing the guinea pig work. We've done all that for you. We know these people come highly regarded. They're fully licensed. They've got really, really great professional feedback as well. And they make up your property team. So now just to go back to those questions, I did put one on store, so I do apologize. Let me go back to that question. Here we go. Sorry, Nicola, just bear with me. Okay, so yeah. So with everything happening at the moment, do you have any insights in the market? Is it a good time to invest? That was one of the questions that came up.
That's it. Yeah. So sorry about that. Missing that one before. Well, my answer to that is it's a good time if you've got the approval to go forward, you've got the funds to go forward, the opportunity to go forward. It's always, if that shoe fits, that's something that I would say make that decision now, because it is a long-term hold prospect. And people do say, what if the market dips? But that happens, it's sometimes it is a bit of a journey. You don't sell when it dips, you hang in there. So the opportunities here are presented now, and this is an opportunity for you to jump on board, and it really does mean that people are looking to do things with their super funds at the moment because they're not performing well. I had a conversation with a client earlier today, and she's got funds there she wants to utilize. So whilst there's question marks around, obviously some aspects of the economy at the moment, let's not forget that people are still moving, they're still transient, people still want rental properties. We've probably got a sea of millennials that want out of their parents' house for rent at the moment, so tell you what, 90 days with my parents, sorry mum and dad, especially if I was still 19, I reckon I would have been one of those tenants that have put their hand up as well. So I've just got to
know. Time to get your friends together, get the circle together, and then you can sit and wait if you like, but when you're ready to go. And I know Jo finds these opportunities that often don't go to market. She gets the inside running on stuff, and if she finds a place and it's amazing and it's a great opportunity, you are ready to go. Yeah. If you wait and go, oh, now we're going to get our circle together and friends, and it takes a few weeks, you might miss out on those opportunities. So take the time now while you're sitting at home to set it all up, get it ready to go, and then commit when you're ready to.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So if you want to take advantage of that special offer, I'll show you the contact details that you can make your initial inquiry here, and you want to speak and have a free consultation with one of the experts as well. So it could be yourself that's been sitting through this webinar. You might, get off this now and call a couple of friends, and then we can set up a time that it's, private. We can speak about your own circumstance and your own intentions and how that might work and how we can make it work for you. Jump into mypropertycircles.com. You've got the promo code there. Yeah, obviously stay connected with us. You can follow us on Facebook and also on Instagram as well. And we're going to be sharing some of those properties that we do have, say, a 75% fill rate, and we're still looking for other people to contribute. So maybe you might want to stay engaged and see when those opportunities do present themselves as well. And, maybe you've got a property now that you've got an eye on, but not in a position to jump on. Maybe that's a conversation you can have with us about how we can help you also, complete your own circle, which will be very exciting. And happy to have those conversations now. And let's use this time when we're meant to be keeping our social and physical distances. We'll get onto a Zoom call and be able to help you make and set your goals for when, the sunny days are back again. So though I don't have any other questions, I'll just double check. I've got no other chat questions up there. I'd like to say a big thank you to Nicola for being able to share your journey. And for those of you who have jumped in tonight, and those of you in Facebook world, and anything further from yourself?
No, I'm just excited we have so many people on tonight, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully meeting heaps of you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.